All right, give me 1 second. Oh, I still have our Iowa friends. I know this is riveting. All right, we tweeted out and we put it out. So, welcome to the Voice of College Football, Missouri Tigers edition. My name is Zach Armelius. I'm here like I have been for, it feels like, a lot. I mean, this is episode 69. LOL. This is episode 69 of Missouri Tigers live. No. There we go. I'm Zach Armelius, like I am. I'm here every freaking week to talk about your Missouri football Tigers. A little bit of a late start. That's okay. Not the end of the world for this. So tonight's lineup, we're going to talk about a couple X factors. Like, what is the biggest X factor on offense? What's the biggest X factor on defense? We'll have a couple, obviously, for each. And then I'm going to kind of determine, or I'm going to tell you, because I've already determined in my show prep what it is. We'll talk about the Missouri Tigers in the NFL draft. And then we'll get into, of course, around the zoo. And finally, talk about the basketball transfer portal. It's been an eventful week-ish. As soon as I got off, it got eventful, which is hilarious. Anyway, before we get rolling, please like and subscribe, guys. I'm here every week talking about Mizzou. I do this by myself, obviously, and I have no co-host. But like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell any Mizzou fans that, hey, there's a place if you want to come talk about in a more casual setting than some of the other sites. And don't get me wrong, those other places are wonderful. I subscribe to all of them. I love information. I love seeing what is out there in the Mizzou news space. But come on. Please subscribe to Mark Rogers TV. Mark is the voice of college football. When Mark started this years and years ago, he did not have a huge team. I got involved basically by email and going, hey, I'm a Mizzou fan, but I'm willing to do and talk about whatever. And I did Alabama for 21, 22, 23, 3.5 years. And then Jackson took it over. Jackson's done an unbelievable job over there because he's really a good human being. And then in middle of 24, he's like, hey, you want to do Missouri? And I was like, of course. I'll get a little emotional. But Mark's been unbelievable to me. We have our own website now. We've had that now. You can go see every show that's on for every college football team that we have, and who hosts them, and then you can find their Twitters and all that kind of fun stuff. We also obviously have our store and find your best college football wear for this upcoming season. And then I can't believe I forgot. Let me put in my Twitter account as it gets darker, and I did not turn on my one son's light, my little son's neon light I got years ago at a wedding party, but it's so sick and I love it. That's where you can follow me on Twitter. Give off my inane opinions about silly things. Like currently right now, I've got the basketball game, and I got, of course, one of the hockey games. I can't have both on, but we got one on, so that's good. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's first go into not that. We'll go into X factors. I'm going to name 2 X factors on each side of the ball. Now, when I say X factors, I know a lot of people think players. Like you see that before every game on every network. Like, who's the X factor? It's going to be Caleb Good, or it's going to be Josh Atkins. No. My purpose here tonight is to talk about 2 X factors on offense, 2 X factors on defense. We'll talk about which one is probably more important. We'll start on defense. Defensively, the two biggest X factors. One, can they find a secondary pass rusher next to Darius Smith? If you look at Darius Smith's pass rush win rates and all those kind of numbers last year, he was actually pretty productive. He didn't play a lot because you had Zion Young, who's going to go maybe in the first round of the NFL draft. And you also had, of course, Damon Wilson, who's probably the highest paid player in the sport right now, down at Miami. But Darius Smith did a really nice job in his limited opportunities. I'm confident he's going to be good. They need to find somebody next to him. They have a whole heap of load of guys for it to potentially be. But you need to find somebody to be a secondary pass rusher. If Darius ends up with 7, 8, 9 sacks, you need a guy that can get to 4, 5, 6. You know, it doesn't have to be last year. It doesn't have to be a dynamic duo. It doesn't have to be both guys are fighting for 10 plus and potentially going to be first round draft picks. That's more than likely not going to happen. But for Mizzou to be successful, they do need to find a pass rush. And find a good one. And it can be depth guys. It can be a host of guys. But you need to, on 3rd and 7, when you're playing Texas, it's the third quarter. You're fighting in that game. It's 27. Not second, it's third quarter. Wow, I'm horrible at my own. It's 23-17. Texas has the ball. Arch is dropping back on 3rd and 6. Who's going to go get him with as they double up on Darius Smith? That's the biggest thing, man. And then the other one on defense. Who is going to start opposite corner of Chris Graves? We know Chris Graves is going to be cornerback 1 when it comes time for the season to start. He's solid. He's consistent. He's not an elite cornerback by any stretch of the imagination, but he's good. Back there, you're going to have Jaleel Florence. You're going to have Sion Stone. Wow, I cannot read. Lulea. I had Jaden Stone for basketball. I don't know where I got that from. To him, I apologize. You're going to have Nick DeLoach. You're going to have Cam Keys. Somebody over there has to emerge as a cornerback 2. You can live with cornerback 3s. And you can live with your nickelback if Luter, Foston, and Dotson are your nickels, you can live with that. And you're like, okay, I think we have CB3s. I think we have what we need coming out of that position. But you need a second guy at cornerback. Those are the 2 X factors for this Missouri defense. Can they find a secondary pass rusher? Whether it is Langdon Kitchen, Jaden Jones, DeMarcus Johnson, CJ May, Malik Bryant, Dayton Hopkins, who I know this staff loves. They love this guy. They were very excited to keep him in the offseason. But so one of them needs to emerge. One of them needs to be, again, you're playing Oklahoma. It's 24-20 Oklahoma ball. You're up late in the 4th, and who's going to go make a play? Not asking them to be Zion Young, and be a potential first-round pick. I'm not asking them to be even Damon Wilson, but they need to be someone that is consistently rushing the passer. Now, it would help if they got to be like a first-round pick. If they ended up if you look at all the great teams Mizzou's had recently, 24, not really. Like Zion was good, but I wouldn't say he was an elite pass rusher in 2024. But 23, they had pass rushers all over the place. 2014, pass rushers all over the place. Well, 2 mostly, to be honest, but they were 2 top 64 picks. 2013, they had 4 elite pass rushers. When Mizzou's been good in the SEC, they've had a couple elite pass rushers. And they've done a good job of churning out defensive ends, even during some downtimes. But we need to see a guy next to Darius really take control and be a star. or be an anchor. A star is a strong word, but an anchor for this defense. And same thing with the cornerback room. Chris Graves is going to be fine. I have full faith there that he'll do an admirable job. But they need to find a cornerback too. Now, out of those two, which one is more important? Inarguably, it's pass rush. They need to find a pass rush from somewhere outside of Darius Smith, whether that's from the interior with Graciel and Marshall and Dante Simpson, Williams, the two Williams, like whoever, whether it's at the edge, like they need to find a pass rush. This team is sunk. Look, maybe the offense is incredible. Maybe the offense is elite, but we're in year 6 now of Eli, and we're heading into year 7, and we haven't seen it at all. We've seen one really damn good offense and really efficient. But other than that, it's been a lot of dreck. So I'm not going to have a ton of faith in that. If it happens, great. I would love to come off wrong. But I'm not entirely faithful that that's what's going to happen. Offensively, X Factor 1, do they have a deep threat? Alubade, Caden Lee is more of a possession guy. He's not a deep threat guy. Alubade is a big body sophomore. He can make tough contested catches. We saw that time again last year. Can Lanier, Sean Terry, Montgomery, Fultz, somebody be a deep threat down the middle of the field? Will Simmons have someone that he can launch it up to and get easy touchdowns? In this day and age in college football, you need to be able, and we talked about this all last season. Yes, Ahmad Hardy, Jamal Roberts are amazing. They're awesome running backs. And Eli does a really good job of scheming open explosive runs for his running backs. If you have any semblance of being not bad, or at least pretty good. Even in 24, the only time the offense really had an issue with explosive runs was 22, and Schrader hadn't figured it out yet. And Nate Pete wasn't very good. But if you go to even 24, Nate Noel, once they kind of figured out what he was hitting explosive runs, like that South Carolina game that year. My co-host, I lied earlier. I do have a co-host. It's my cat, Ollie. Oz, I'm trying to do a show, bud. I know. Where's my train of thought? But and those two guys do a great job. But when you play these better teams, we saw with like Oklahoma, we saw with Oklahoma's the main one I'm thinking because that was just with Vanderbilt. When you stop explosive runs, this offense had nowhere to turn for easy points, and you need to be able to get easy points in this day and age of college football. So what will a receiver show up and be a deep threat down the field? I'm pretty confident Mizzou has a quarterback that can hit those throws. So a receiver needs to emerge and be the guy to get, I don't know why he's learning this, be open down the field. The other X factor, and this is going to be obvious as well, but it's the truth. The interior offensive line. I know during spring ball they said we are much more confident our interior offensive line is going to be better than it was last year. Last year it was not good. Caden Green was pretty good at tackle last year. It wasn't All-American, wasn't elite, but he was really good. And Trost was outstanding most of the year. Like this is why sometimes you don't know everything in the portal. I love the basketball portal because it does feel like the only free agency that's left in sports. But the college football transfer portal, it is so much about fit. I was not excited about the Keegan Trost pickup, and was like, all right, he's going to play tackle. And then he was awesome for the Missouri Tigers. So could we see something similar this year for him? I would certainly freaking hope so. It needs to be. when he finally comes back and plays, which is with Josh Atkins. But so I have a little more faith there. Interior, whoever lines up in there, Zach Owens, Dom, Tristan Wilson, Justice, Luke Work, Piegler, Jack, like whoever they throw in there, down to down, this zone run game is not going to work as well as it sometimes does unless this unit is working together, working well, and playing elite football. And it just didn't at times last year. And that's why when Mizzou played these better teams, when they played even like Alabama, the run game wasn't great. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, the middle got eaten up and there was no hole for Ahmad Hardy to cut back into. So that's why I much like, yes, having an elite wide receiver or elite downfield threat wide receiver, it doesn't have to be an elite wide receiver, would be great. If this interior O-line stinks, the offense is going to struggle again. I know they talked about all off in spring ball that they really think it has improved. I'm inclined to believe them, although no one's ever come out of spring ball like, wow, our team freaking sucks. Colorado might be, but that's neither here nor there. So it's weird doing a Mizzou football show, I got to say, and watching Quinn Snyder coach. It's weird. And a little annoying. I'll bless Quinn. He made some mistakes and he's come out. He paid his dues and now he's in the NBA. But it's still like, man, what if? Anyway, but those are the X factors for me: offensive, defense. You need to find a secondary pass rusher, and you need to figure out the interior of our offensive line. This is the Voice of College Football, Missouri Tigers Live. We just talked about what is the biggest, not player, but in terms of need offensively and defensively. Now we did offense, and our defense determined it was a secondary pass rusher over finding a secondary corner. Offensively, I've determined it's probably more important that the offensive line, the interior offensive line, come together more than a legit deep threat wide receiver. Because you do have Alubade, who's more of a big body, like go get it. And then you have Caden Lee, who is definitely more of a possession guy, but you have some guys in there that have some speed. So we'll see how it goes. Now, again, that's important. Like, Mizzou probably won't be successful again if they don't have a deep threat wide receiver offensively, but we'll go from there. This is the Voice of College Football, Missouri. The other big thing in the football world this week is the NFL draft. God bless you. I cannot stand watching the NFL draft. I can't do it. 3.5 hours to make 32 picks. Be so serious. Be so serious. I will know on my phone faster what happened than watching it on TV. And you could be doing a multitude of things. You could be watching a movie. You could be watching an NHL or NBA playoffs. You could be watching you could be doing so much more than watching the stupid draft. And part of it is I don't have an NFL team. I care about the NFL just through cultural zeitgeist. I do fantasy, whatever, but I would just rather watch real sports other than the draft. And it's annoying coverage, and ESPN's terrible at most things now, which really sucks. Yeah, and David here again. Thanks for being here. Yeah, some teams don't have first round picks. If you don't have a first round, I would understand tracking on your phone, and then you're a Broncos fan, the Broncos are about to pick. Let me turn it on real quick, see what happens. That, I get that, but man, we're gonna have baseball. We'll be getting into let's see, it's Thursday, Friday, so we'll be getting into game 3s, game 4s, in the NBA and in the NHL. Series are gonna start pivoting. This is that's where it happens, and you're gonna watch the NFL draft. Follow it, sure, but I'll follow it because we're gonna do another show next Monday, and we're gonna talk more about the NFL draft and talk about where Mizzou guys went. But enough of my tangent on don't watch the NFL draft. How I don't watch the NFL draft. You do, great, but just not my thing. We're gonna talk about Mizzou projections in the NFL. So I've got 2 mock drafts pulled up. I've got USA Today. That's not true. I've got ESPN. I've got Jordan Reed's 7-round mock draft. And I've got CBS Sports first-round mock draft from Bryant McFadden. Unfortunately, he does not have any Mizzou guys going in the first round when I pulled it up, which is really dumb because I do think Zion is worthy of it. But we are going to go to another CBS, which is the CBS Sports staff. And we're just going to talk about where they kind of have Mizzou players going. Because I think it's fun to think about, like, how far. This is last year's, isn't it? Why would I pop up? Why would that pop up? It's not even last year's. This is just terrible. I should have proofread that. Oops. Go to NFL.com. Whatever. I know, enthralling again. But my bad. I sincerely, that's not what I meant to do. So, ESPN, Jordan Reed. He has Zion Young going to the Texans at 38. I don't think the Texans need Zion Young. I think they're pretty set at DN, as David said here. Who's getting the dog? Zion be quick. Like in 2014, I thought Zion was, or not 2014, 2024. I thought Zion was fine. I thought he was a pretty good run stopping DN. He scored the huge, he had the defensive touchdown against Oklahoma. I thought he was a pretty good player. I was not expecting what I saw last year. He was awesome. And I personally think he should be a first-round pick. I think there are teams that could use him. The Seahawks. I wouldn't say, like, I'm looking towards the end of the first round. I know the Dolphins. They have the Dolphins taking Keldrick Falk. Sure. The 49ers taking Malachi Lawrence from UCF. Like, there are guys. Look, different teams are going to be looking for different things from their defensive ends, but I think TJ Parker, I think the Bears would be a good fit for Zion. The Chargers could potentially be. I know they have them taking Mesidor. Mesidor is really good, but the only issue with Mesidor is he's like 45. So, but that's where he has Zion Young. On NFL.com. There's only 10 Z's in the whole page. Where does he have him going on NFL.com? They also do not have him going first round. They have Zion. They don't have him going round 3, do they? Holy cow. Yeah, they have him going round 3 to the Eagles. That seems a little goofy. Oh, yeah, he quickly became – yeah, that's like an all-time Mizzou moment. Like, as ugly as a football game that was last year, and Lord, I have said I hate doing – I like – night games are cool, and I'm not going to be selfish. Like, I'd rather Mizzou have night games just because, like, in terms of, like, home games – because it always provides a better atmosphere. But God, like, road night games are the worst. Because then I didn't go live till like 10:30, and everyone's out, no one's watching. Like, selfishly, like, and man, it's just so late. Anyway, they have Zion going in the 3rd round to the Eagles. Sure, like, I'm not. You know what? I think, like, trying to open up 3 mock drafts was a mistake. And I left my notes at work to figure out where they had everybody. I apologize for that. Very unprofessional. Another guy that's going to get a lot of has been getting a lot of talk for in the NFL for this year is Josiah Trotter. They also have Josiah Trotter going to the Texans in the second round. I've seen a lot of second rounds for Trotter. I'm not sure I 100% agree. But he had to been hearing something to leave Mizzou. I don't know if he would have left if he was going to be like a third round pick or a fourth round pick. Let's see where he has on NFL. The thing I don't like about the NFL one is the ESPN one has it all on one page, so I can just shift F4 it. Whereas this one I have to go through and scroll, and that's not very fun for me. I understand it's a lot of information to put on one page, but come on, you're the NFL. Do they just not let me pick players? You know what? I tried. I'm not okay. So Parker does. So that kind of stuff does work. Man, you see or read mock drafts and you're like, sure, man. This draft is just something else. This is not a good draft. It's a lot of draft of it feels like older guys that you're like, sure, whatever. The NFL one has Harold Perkins going in the third round. I don't know if they watched Harold Perkins play football this year. Or the last couple of years, he was really good. When I think of Harold Perkins, I think of one amazing game against Arkansas his freshman year where he won that game for the boys in the purple and gold. And other than that, he was kind of not good all year. Well, that's good to know. I'm not finding Trotter. Oh, well. That was fun. That was annoying. There should be a QB for the first 4 rounds. They're all bad. Ty Simpson made that throw against Mizzou, and I was like, wow, that's why he's a first round pick. And then he's just not good the rest of the year, which is crazy. Anyway, but yeah, they have Trotter going second, third round. I mostly see in mocks, which is good. He's a good player. Better run stuffer than a pass, than a coverage guy. But as the NFL is tilting back more towards run game, that's important. And they also have him going to the Texans. At the 199th pick, he just meant to with the Chiefs. To be clear, they have Kevin Coleman. NFL had him in the 5th round. Kevin Coleman going to the Cincinnati Bengals from Detroit via Cleveland, wide receiver at Missouri. Kevin's actually had a really sneaky pre-draft process where he's really elevated. When he left, I think you mostly saw undrafted free agent 7th round pick type stuff for him. And I've seen him now on a lot of boards, creeping into the 5th round, creeping into the 4th round. 199th, he's in round 6. But still, he's had a really nice pre-draft process. And again, I think he's a guy that, at the 6th round, whatever. You're kind of hoping. You got Burrow and Higgins, and they were at their best when they had Tyler Boyd as a third guy. And I know they've got other receivers, but you can find another one for cheap. Whatever. Once you get to that round, I don't always. When you get to those kind of rounds, I don't think you always should draft for fit. You should just draft best player, unless it's a quarterback. But I doubt it's ever going to be quarterback. But yeah, no, he's done a really nice job, and he's kind of become okay. He's an older guy that can make plays. In the middle of the field. He's not the most explosive athlete, but it kind of is what it is with Kevin. Keegan Trost into the 6th round. Or no, they have him in the 5th round, which is what they also have on NFL.com. Man, good for Keegan. Like we talked about earlier, when he came to Mizzou last year, I was not excited about it. I was like, this is the tackle we're going to rely on. And he was great. I love the basketball transfer portal, and we'll talk about that for a little bit here coming up. But he did such a wonderful job for Missouri last year that I really hope he goes on. He's an older guy, so he's a guy you have to expect. If he's not starting his first couple of years, he's going to be playing in the UFL. But you could throw him into a rotation, and I think he's going to play some pretty good minutes or pretty good snaps for you. We got two more guys. Toriano Pride was not in the NFL mock draft, as far as I could tell, going in the 7th round of the Jaguars. Toriano had a really rough 24. I thought in 25 he played. Wow, I just played twice. He played much better. St. Louis kid. Hopefully he gets his shot. And then lastly, and this is the guy I think could be the Mizzou's best player, is Chris McClellan. They have him going in the 4th round to the Cardinals. Chris is a freaking monster. I love Chris McClellan. I honestly think Chris McClellan's going to be the hardest player to replace off last year's defense. He's so freaking good, and I hope he has a wonderful NFL career, because when he came over from Florida, it wasn't that Florida fans were like, oh, that's a loss, because they were like, Florida fans legitimately like, oh, we didn't want to lose Chris. But then he came to Mizzou, and he was just so damn good that he's just going to be hard to replace. And I really hope he does go on and have a successful NFL career. So those are the 6 guys at most mock drafts. He could be tearing up. I thought Darius was about to get cut. He's kind of had a bad, what are Darius's numbers? He has not played good football since he got to the league, unfortunately. And I loved Darius when he was at Mizzou. He was one of the reasons that 23 team had such a good turnaround was because of him on the defensive line. But if Pro Football Reference wants to load for me at any point, that would be really freaking cool. He's had injuries too, but sometimes that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? In the NFL, there's guys that have been hurt, but it just doesn't matter. And Darius was a huge reason that 23 team was as good as it was. And he just seems like a really good guy. But oh my God, Pro Football Focus is just I never have this issue with any other not Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Reference. I mean, he's played 2 years. He's played in a grand total of 21 games. He has 1 sack, 5 tackles for a loss. He needs a big year. But he could be lining up still. That'd be cool. And they both are different. Darius is more of a pass rushing interior guy, and Chris is definitely more of a run stuffing, even though he did have some pretty good tackle for a loss numbers and sacks last year. So those are the 6 guys we're seeing a lot of motion on for Mizzou in football at the NFL draft. This is the football show, but we've reached the football portion. So before I move on, like and subscribe. Guys, this is a Missouri Tiger show. We're here every Monday. I like to think I know what I'm talking about. Some people disagree with me. That's a Flyer score. Wow. That's fine. I understand that. Like and subscribe to Mark Rogers, like we talked about, and hit up our website and see what other shows you may be interested in or intel you want to get from around the country. Mark does an unbelievable job covering, coast to coast, from ACC coast to ACC coast every day over on the main channel. So just, keep an eye out while football season is still, we're only 4 months away. I'm going to be getting into preview season here soon. We're not that far off. Because once the NHL and NBA playoffs are over, it's going to be June, and then you have the World Cup. And by the time the World Cup's over, it's going to be really time to get going. So anyway, let's go to Around the Zoo. We're going to talk about the baseball team and the softball team. The baseball team stinks. Went to Oklahoma, got swept, lost 9-6, 4-0, 8-4. Their starting pitching is a good bit better than it has been, and this team is better than it has been. But Mizzou baseball has such a long way to go to even be remotely competent in this conference that it's kind of like Rutgers football. Like, I just don't see a path to being good. People would have said the same thing about Indiana football, and obviously Indiana's just won a natty, made the playoff back-to-back years, and in a spot where they're going to be preseason top 10. Indiana football, and like out of respect, like that team has lost so much from the last couple of years, but they did a good job in the portal. It's like, okay, they're very young, but like that's fine. Like with the portal, if any of these guys get recruited by any other good school, they're going to leave. That's just how it is. Like you're below like some Big Ten teams, and not like UCLA, like the good Big Ten teams, or Oregon. Like I just don't see a path to being competent in this conference. You know, you had a chance, but like you had a guy that's still playing professional baseball. You had some other guys on there that have had cups of coffee, like Cam Meisner, that have had cups of coffee in the MLB, and it's just, man, like you're 20-20 now. You're 3-15 in the conference. Come on, keep scrolling. Like you lost 2 out of 3 to South Carolina. That was your chance to build momentum. You got Edwardsville, sure, but then you play Arkansas at home. You know, you go to Georgia, who's top 10 in the country. You got Vanderbilt, and then you got Texas. You know, you're likely staring at another. They had their shot at their SIG, and they hired Beazer, who, like, looking back, was not a bad coach. Like, he had them, like, kind of fun. Like, he had them competitive. But they had Tony Vitello, and they said, nope. And now he's the head coach and kind of floundering with the Giants, but, hey, that's okay. And then they got Texas. Like, and though, you know, what are you expecting in your 1, 2, 3, 4 series left? Like, are you expecting anything better than 3-9? And that puts you at 6-24 in the conference, 23-29 overall. Like, it's just not. I just don't see the path. Softball also had a really disappointing weekend against South Carolina. Losing 2 of 3, that puts them squarely behind the 8 ball. And this was after they had some momentum in the middle of the year, but now they're 20-24, 7-11 in the conference. They need to rattle off some wins here and quickly if they have any hopes of making the NCAA tournament. They got SIUE, but then they go to Arkansas. They play Tennessee. They have 2 series left, and then some midweek games against SIU and UMKC, or Kansas City. You got to do it. You got to win some of these games. You got to take 2 out of 3 a couple of these series, or we could be looking at 2 coaching searches, because I do ultimately think this baseball coach, I think Carrick Jackson's going to get let go. And then I do think if they miss, that Larissa will get let go as well, which is unfortunate. Like, I was at that game 3 against Duke where it went to extras, and it just didn't go Mizzou's way. Duke won the game, but like, man, like they were right there, and then they just lost it at home. I was at that game 3. It was an incredible atmosphere, and then they lost, and they haven't recovered from that game. And it's just unfortunate. Yeah, they probably need to win a couple in the SEC tournament too. Unless they win out. You win out, you're in. But let's be more realistic on that. So that's around the zoo, and then let's get to the transfer portal for basketball. Mizzou basketball had a really nice week since we were last live. First, getting a pickup from Jameer Jones. Jones, a transfer from Auburn, averaged basically 12 points a game last year, 4.5 boards, 1.4 assists. He did tell that he's going to be. He's been told he's going to play the 2, which I don't really quite understand. He did shoot 38% from 3, which isn't too shabby, but only 1 attempt per game. So it's not like there's a large volume of attempts. But if you do look at his shooting mechanics, they look pretty good. What you are getting, though, is an athletic freak. He was 2nd in the country in dunks last year, only behind Caleb Wilson, who's going to go top 5 in the NBA draft. In 25 minutes a game at Auburn, he shot 59, almost 60% from 2. So he's 57% overall. Good defensive profile. His defense did struggle at times last year. Matt Harris, over at Rock M Nation did a wonderful breakdown of him. His on-the-ball defense is pretty good, but he fits right in with Mizzou because his off-ball defense can really struggle. Turnover rate, 15%. That's a little high. But if you're looking for it, T.O. Barrett's was 22%. So that's kind of where we're at with him. But he was also a freshman. 21.4% usage rate. He's a good player. He's a really, really good player. And the nice thing about him is he's a freshman. And I know things turn over year to year to year to year, but he's a freshman. So if you can keep him around, you're building a really nice case here for the future. Along with your other big pickup, which was Bryson Tiller. From Kansas, he's the guy we've been begging Mizzou to go for. If you look at the bigs Mizzou's had under Dennis Gates, Jordan Butler, part of his second real recruiting class, we all thought he could be a good player, but he did not profile as a super high upside big. He kind of had evolved into his form, and he just hasn't. He hasn't been good at Mizzou or at South Carolina. I believe he's back in the portal. They had Diarra. He was kind of the one high upside guy, and then he struggled. He did struggle at Mizzou. Goes to NC State, figures it out about midway through that second season, and helps lead them to a Final Four. At NC State, which is great for him, man. Flyers are up 2-0. Trying to think of Connor Vanover, please. Josh Gray. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. For what Josh Gray got paid, he was fine, but not a high upside big. Sean Phillips is what he was, not a high upside big. Bryson Tiller was a 4-star freshman, was not a McDonald's All-American, but only because he left early. Last year at Kansas, he averaged 8 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 1 block. He's 6'11", 240 pounds. And Kansas fans are not happy he's gone. When Kansas fans are that upset, when the team tells you they're not that upset that he's gone, you don't see Mizzou fans just troll. Now I understand it is because he went to Missouri. I totally get that. If a Mizzou player went to Kansas, I'd be pissed. But they would not. These people would not be as upset as they are if the player wasn't good or didn't have the opportunity to be good. From an outside look, his offense, it needs to improve. 98.4 offensive rating, 100.8 defensive rating, which is damn good. 19 turnover rate, which is normal for a big at that age. 18.6% usage. So when they got him, everyone kind of was like, okay, so this is the guy that Mizzou needs, and that they should make a deep run. He's going to be a starter. He's a really good player. He projects as a good player, but there's some development that needs to happen here. He was very up and down at Kansas last year. And he shoots 70% from the free throw line, which is pretty good. He doesn't foul a lot, but he's not overly physical. That's why I think they brought in Jalen Carey, if I'm being honest with you. If you look at his game logs, it's very clear he did struggle with consistency. And that, again, not unusual. He was a freshman, and he wasn't a top 25 pick. He had 12 points against North Carolina. 17 against Notre Dame, another team that beat Mizzou. 13 against Mizzou in Kansas City. Only 2 at NC State was a negative player by college basketball references game metrics. 11 against Towson, 11 against Davidson, 2 at UCF. Again, a negative player on the court, but then he 16 at Kansas State, but not a very good Kansas State team. But 21 against BYU, 15.9 player rating, 18 and 8 against Arizona and Allen Fieldhouse when that place was incredible. Like, look, it just was. That place was unbelievable that night, and he was great when they didn't have Darren Peterson. 10-7 against Oklahoma State, 11-10 against Houston, and a win at Allen Fieldhouse against the Cougars. Again, it's going to be intriguing. He had 13 points against TCU and David Punch in the tournament, but he did get benched against TCU. In the Big 12 tournament, he did get benched against Houston. He only played 14 minutes, was not very good, negative player, and was held scoreless against St. John's in 27 minutes. So there's a lot of flow here. He's going to start and he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to play 20 to 25 minutes a game. But don't expect like 14 and 10 from this guy every night. He's not that yet. Again, the nice thing with Jones, the nice thing with Tiller is they are only going to be sophomores. They're guys you can keep around for a little while. And really develop when you have Scotty Atkinson coming in next year. But that's the 2 commitments they've got. Is Tiller and Jones. They are looking at 2 guards this week. So basically, they have 3 spots left. One needs to go to a straight point guard. One needs to go to a ball handling 2 guard that can, but he's not going to be a primary, but he's a guy that can handle the basketball, can shoot. And then they need a guy that can kind of swing at the 2-3. Now, the issue is none of these guys are going to play real minutes. I don't know how much budget they have left. But a couple of guys that they're going after. One is Josh Holloway from Texas A&M. Before that, he played at Samford. He screams like 5th guard, and a spot I thought maybe they would take a chance at like a Marquez Warwick kind of guy. Holloway is visiting Missouri tomorrow. He also plans to visit West Virginia, Memphis, and USC. This is according to Sam Kaser on Twitter. Last year at Texas A&M, in 13 minutes, he averaged 4.6 points per game, 1.8 assists, 1.3 rebounds. Shot 40% from 3, but on less than an attempt. At Samford, he was at 28% and 27% from 3. Turns the ball over quite frequently. Like he's basically 50% on that. He's 25.9% turnover rate. 18.6 usage. They're going to visit with him. I would hope he's not a take. Like, I don't understand the want here. Again, if he's going to be, because you kind of have to figure going into the year, Northweather, Randall, Rowe, Boat's probably going to injury redshirt. So you got 4 guys, and then you have this guy. Like, if he's your 11th, 12th guy, sure, whatever. But that's a really high turnover rate. Especially when you look like you're going to be having a young backcourt. You want a little more experience there. I can't believe they're not trying to dip back into the Horizon League or with any of these other guys. Like Gavin Sykes from Long Beach State would be perfect. But and Kennard Davis at like the 2-3 is an option. But we'll see. I imagine next week we'll have a lot more to talk about in terms of commitments and kind of we'll be able to break down this roster as a whole. The other guard they're going to be meeting with is Jalen Reese. He is a point guard from LSU. Jalen, 6 points per game last year, 3.6 assists in only 23 minutes, 1.8 rebounds, and this is all under Todd McMahon. Now, he did shoot 29% from 3, which isn't great. 16.9, though, turnover rate on 16% usage. That's pretty good. 25.5% assist rate. He's, if he per 100 possessions, 8.9 assists, 3 So basically 9 assists to 3 turnovers. 103 offensive rating, defensive rating 115.8. That entire LSU team was not great at defense last year, but this is a guy I think Mizzou's pretty confident in getting. He did play high school ball with Jameer Jones. Again, another guy you can bring in and keep around. Like, you can tell Mr. Reese, you may not start this year. You're going to play a lot of minutes, and you have a real chance to start next year high school teammate in Jones. 72% from the free throw line, 30% from three. But the intriguing thing with Jalen Reese is if you go to his game logs and you look at the back half of SEC play, he was very good. Against Kentucky in the conference tournament, 11 points, 7 assists, only 1 turnover. Texas A&M at home in a 3 overtime loss, 17 points, 5 assists, 2 turnovers. Had a bit of a turnover issue against Auburn. He had 5, but he also went for 12 and 6. At Tennessee, 15 and 4. Only 1 turnover. At Texas, 14 and 9, 11 and 10 against Ole Miss, 14 and 5. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, the back half of the SEC schedule, he played very well. Against Missouri, if you're curious, he had 7 points, 3 assists. He also shot the ball pretty well down the stretch. 3 of 5 at Tennessee, 2 of 4 at Texas, 1 of 4 at Alabama, 3 of 6 against Ole Miss, 0 of 4 against OU, but 2 of 3 at Auburn, 2 of 3 against Texas, or 2 of 5 against Texas A&M, 0 for 4 against Kentucky in the conference tournament. But definitely got better as the season went along, and he'd be a guy totally on board with bringing on. Young was getting better as his freshman year went on. So that's kind of what we're looking at in the portal. They're going to be looking at 3 essentially guards. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to be it for me tonight. So thank you all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. This is, of course, Missouri Tigers Live. I will be back next Monday. We'll talk about the Missouri Tigers in the draft, where these guys ended up. We'll talk more about the portal, and we'll go from there. So you all have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the draft if that is what you choose to watch. Enjoy the NBA and NHL playoffs. Enjoy baseball if that's your thing. And I will see you next week. MIZ.